Have you ever felt that your emotions are just like too big or too much to handle? What if I told you that all of your power resides in these big emotions and what they're trying to teach you and what they can show you about yourself? Today, we're diving deep into how feeling your emotions can teach you so much about yourself and transform the world around you. You can unlock inner peace, you can unlock new joys, new pleasures, all by tuning into them. Emotions are really important, and a lot of us work to keep them contained, keep them muffled or muted or dialed down, so to speak. At the end of the day, emotions are messengers. They're filled with bits of information that can tell us different things about the beliefs we're holding on to, the control we're sinking our fingers into, and just different aspects and avenues of where we can tweak our approach to things. I know personally when I get really eruptive or really sad or really angry, I'm noticing where I have an attachment to a situation, where I have an attachment to a vision of a specific path a situation needs to unfold as. And when things go against what my little vision for something was, it can be extremely off-putting and frustrating and almost derailing sometimes if I'm really trying to work at something and it's not going to pan out how I envisioned. Our brains try and make sense of things, try to make sense of the world around us, and we can get emotionally heightened when things start to turn off course from what we projected it to be, what we expected it to be. It's really easy to tell these things when we get disappointed or feel let down with something, but the example that keeps coming into my head is like road rage. Cutting people off, rushing around, frustration. Where I live, it's very congested, and you can tell the difference between the people that are always triggered and frustrated and outraged by the amount of traffic on the road, and then the other people that are just simply in acceptance of it. They understand where we live, and there's tons of people here, and most times of day aren't ideal to drive around, and that's what we get for living here. You know, there's two very different ways that you can approach traffic, and that's just one example of many, and one takes so much energy from you. It takes so much emotion from you when you're mad and frustrated and irritated by the amount of people on the road, something you can't control. When you allow yourself to accept it, when you allow yourself to not attach to things that we can't control, the power of acceptance with these emotions is huge. And it's not just accepting the road rage, but realistically speaking, it's accepting the emotion. When we start to feel sad or scared or mad, it's not about making it smaller and brushing it under a rug and putting it away, but it's about viewing it for the information it can provide us and accepting the emotion. I've been learning to give these emotions more room and more curiosity instead of judgment. So when I'm met with anger, instead of feeling shameful for feeling mad or feeling wrong for having a big emotion towards something, I simply accept it and I ask it questions. I'm like, okay, anger, like, what are you mad at? What can I do for you? Is there anything that I can provide you to ease your discomfort? And I'll kind of talk to these emotions like they're outside of me, like they're different characters or people, because they are. We are not our emotions. We are a vessel that they pass through. I like to think of it with like this TV analogy of like if we are the television set, we pick up on different signals, which are different emotions. And we receive these signals and we're able to then like reflect them and transmit them through our screen. So if I pick up on anger, then I can express anger. And if I pick up on sadness, I can express sadness. But the difference between us in a TV is what we receive doesn't have to be what we project. I can be receiving the fact that I'm sad or angry, and I don't have to take that out on the world. I don't have to move through that space. We have the capacity to check ourselves and communicate with these emotions and dissect them and understand them and even just give them some room. I know with this acceptance, it can be really difficult because we're taught not to have big emotions. We're taught that those are bad things or shameful things or just too much or inappropriate or whatever it is. In feeling and giving them room, we can then figure out how to transmute them, how to alchemize them. If we're just ignoring the fact that we feel sad about something, we're carrying that around with us everywhere we go. But if we allow ourselves to explore that sadness and see what it means and see what parts of our life it's attaching itself to, we can comfort ourselves. We can nourish and nurture ourselves and reassure ourselves that it's going to be okay, that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel sad about the things that we feel sad about. It's valid. In doing all of that, sometimes that sadness just needs to be heard. It just needs a little bit of space. It just needs to feel seen, as we all do. And the emotion, the intensity will sometimes dissipate a little bit. And it can be really powerful to deconstruct these intensities on our own when we notice we have the power to do so. We have the power to de-escalate these different emotions that, again, are just trying to show us something, whether something is not in alignment or not in congruence or not in resonance or just something we don't have the capacity for. There's so much information stored in these emotions. So through accepting them and giving them room and not trying to put them in a box or change them right away, but by simply allowing them the space and the validation and the understanding that it's okay to have them. They're not going to be here forever. They're here to let us know something. There's nothing wrong with us for having emotions. There's nothing shameful about having emotions. Whatever they're about, it's okay. We are not them. As much as they are all valid, they're not all necessarily true. And that is something too that I've noticed with emotions, especially when I'm dealing with grief. Grief is a funky, sticky emotion that comes in waves. It comes in circles. It's like love with nowhere to go. It's love that once had a home that now there's nowhere to put that love anymore. So you still have all of this love flowing, but nowhere to attach it to, nowhere to give it residence. And we can grieve so many things. I'm personally grieving past versions of myself, which is pretty fascinating because I've had a bit of a big life transition this past year, and I noticed myself, instead of grieving the life that I once had, I am grieving the version of myself that thrived and loved and enjoyed and reveled in that life that I had. I would not wish that life back for me. I am thankful I had it, but I am also equally thankful it is behind me. But I do want to honor and nourish that version of myself that was her dream, that was her goal, that was her joy. And that is a layer of grief that I've found interesting to navigate because it's all internal. It all has to do with my own experiences. At first, when I was feeling this type of grief, I almost felt guilty for not wanting my old life back, for being moved on from it and evolved past it and having outgrown it, because it is a bit scary when you can feel that things have happened for a reason and life is continuing to move forward. We're not meant to go back to those similar, comfortable, familiar things all the time. So that's just an example in my life where when this grief has come up, I give it room and curiosity. I don't shame myself for living in the past, because as much as it's important to let our past be in the past, to remain in the present moment, and to continue acting in alignment with a version of ourselves that our future self would be happy and proud of, it's okay to honor where we're at. Just as much as we deserve to give grace and compassion to the past version of ourselves that was only doing the best with the tools and the awareness and the capacity that they had at the time, we deserve to give our present selves that grace and compassion. Our present selves is a version of us that we have never been before. And it's really easy to forget that. And it's so common to want to go back and heal your inner child, and so common to want to go back and heal these past traumas and past versions so we can release that and continue moving on to the present, but into the future. But all of that is happening from the present moment. All of the work that we do happens in the present moment. The present moment is the only place we have access to the past and the future and the now all at once. And when we're acting from that space and when we're working from that present space, we forget to give her compassion sometimes because we're so busy doing the work in that space. But I've been learning in myself to offer that grace, curiosity, and compassion to everyone all the time. All of my versions, all of everyone else's versions. Because we're so quick to judge and we're so quick to put things into a box or to smush something down or try and make it go from an 8 to a 2 or turn the volume down or whatever analogy you want to say for just muffling and compacting these things that need to come up and let go. Because the biggest part about allowing them acceptance and then also decoding them and being curious and hearing them for what they're trying to say. It is also so important to take that information and allow it to be a grand lesson and a great teacher. I know this can often happen for big life changes for people, heartbreak and love and childbirth and moving and all of these different big life reality shifting choices and milestones for people can sometimes activate that transformation, but it can be really hard to sense and feel and learn when it's time to take that lesson and start moving. And I will say there's no perfect time. In the action is the answers. The more we inch our way towards movement and alchemy and choosing to take these things as lessons, to continue to honor our highest self and to live in alignment with what feels right in our heart, what feels right in our gut and our soul. The more we're able to try and inch that way, the more the path gets revealed, the more clarity we have around some of these emotions and some of the ways that they're holding us back, some of the ways that we're holding us back. The last thing I'll add in here with that kind of emotional discernment is having a sense of where our intensity is and learning that where we feel resistance towards things is often exactly what we need. If you're afraid to confront someone and ask for that thing you deserve, or if you're afraid to put yourself out there and share your truth vulnerably and authentically, oftentimes that is exactly the medicine you need. We all have our unique situations and circumstances that we meet with more resistance than others. I will have a different set of obstacles than you, although we all have these obstacles. And I think it's very helpful to hold space for that duality, that we are unique in the sense that the obstacles that we hold are unique to us and our past experiences and our future goals and our belief systems. And also, everyone has their own. They're a different set, sure, but we are all faced with these similar challenges and resistances and the duality of wanting to grow and change, but being afraid of what's on the other side of that new thing that we can't see yet. And your emotions will be the greatest teachers and breadcrumb trail that you lean into. When you feel expansion, when you feel lightness, when you feel excitement and joy, that is what needs to be followed. That is that breadcrumb trail that will lead you to that blueprint for that happiness and best version of yourself. And anything that feels like dense and tightening and contracting and restrictive, that is something to turn away from. And even though what feels restricting can feel safe and what feels expansive can feel scary, we can hardwire ourselves to find the opposite to be true. And when we work in the opposite direction by choosing against constriction and choosing for expansion, that is soul alignment. That is where our emotions come into play, because as we're picking up on and distinguishing these different signals that we're getting, we're able to really navigate and figure out exactly what we're meant to be doing. I know that was a lot. If any of that resonated, I would love to hear, love to chat. If you're navigating complicated emotions and you are kind of trying to pinpoint exactly where they're coming from, like if you're able to pick up on a sensation but not necessarily dissect where it may be coming from, I would love to be of support. I will link my latest offering below. In the meantime, hang in there. Good luck. Trust yourself. Love yourself. Stay blessed.